I know it was a ridiculous promise. I hate to have to hold him to something so absurd after he caused prices to rise so quickly. But it was his promise.
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. Well, Justin Trudeau thought he would poke the bear today during question period, and boy, did he regret it.
Let's get to it.
All this Prime Minister can do is blame others for the exorbitant inflation that he has imposed on Canadians' food bills. He promised a month ago that by Thanksgiving Day, food would be affordable. Yet since that time, the CEO of the food bank says that now we have more Canadians than ever relying on assistance just to eat. And a poll out just today shows that 2/3 of Canadians are actually afraid for their health because they can't buy nutritious food after 8 years of this Prime Minister. So will he keep his promise, yes or no, to deliver an affordable Thanksgiving dinner to Canadians?
Mr. Speaker, we see that the Leader of the Opposition is always ready to play political games, because a few weeks ago we moved forward with the Affordable Housing and Groceries Act, which will help build more rental homes and increase competition, including amongst the largest groceries. But instead of working with us to move this forward before Thanksgiving, the Conservative opposition chose to obstruct debate around these measures. We're going to continue to stay focused on helping Canadians while they stay focused on playing political partisan games.
So remember, he's talking about Bill C-56. The bill that the second part of it that he's referring to in terms of his grocery bill won't actually reduce the cost of groceries.
No, it's going to affect competition in Canada.
All it does is give the Competition Bureau more power. That's literally all it does. And it has nothing specifically to do with groceries. They're just trying to call it the grocery bill so it sounds good for the press. So this bill had zero chance of doing anything for Canadians' grocery bills by Thanksgiving, and that's why the Conservatives are quote-unquote obstructing it. When he says obstructing, what he means is that the House is not adopting it with unanimous consent. If the House adopts a bill with unanimous consent, there's no debate, there's no nothing. It's just completely adopted and it goes straight to the Senate. But if it's not adopted with unanimous consent, there has to be debate on it. And debates can take a while. So yeah, there's going to be debate on a bill that says it's going to lower groceries when it in fact is not going to lower groceries.
If Trudeau really wanted to lower the price of groceries, he would get rid of his ridiculous carbon tax.
If he really wanted to lower the price on groceries, he'd get rid of his government.
Speaker, the Prime Minister can pass any bill he wants anytime he wants because he has a majority in coalition with the NDP. That's why he promised a month ago that he would make food affordable by Thanksgiving. Big blustery photo op. So my question for him is, will by this Monday at Thanksgiving, he reverse the 22% inflation in the price of peas, the 33% inflation in the price of green salads, the 37% price inflation in the cost of frozen turkeys, and the 74% price inflation for potatoes. Will he keep his word? Will he bring the prices down? Yes or no?
Mr. Speaker, we see again the Conservative opposition is always ready to fling attacks and make criticisms, but what they actually did was block our move forward on a Affordable Housing and Groceries Act. They obstructed debate last week in terms of delaying it. We want to move forward on this so we can help Canadians, but they stood against this act the same way they stood against $10 a day childcare, the same way they stand against the Canada Child Benefit, the same way they stood against dental care for Canadians who need it. Mr. Speaker, we will keep helping people.
Already, he's starting to get rattled.
Man, if this is Trudeau's idea of help, I don't want it.
Yeah, like, keep your help to yourself. Because it's not help. All it's doing is spending more money that you don't have, which is going to jack up inflation and jack up interest rates and make it even more unaffordable. Did everyone catch that, by the way? 74% increase in the price of potatoes.
Well, yeah, because most of the potatoes in Canada are grown in PEI. And how do they get here on a truck?
Yeah. So they're taxing all the farmers out there that are screaming, cut the carbon tax. Because if you increase the price on potatoes that much, guess what people are not going to do? Buy potatoes. Like, this is simple math.
The Prime Minister pretends that he's not in a majority coalition with the NDP, when in fact he is, and he can pass any law he wants at any time. And that's why he promised a month ago that we'd have an affordable Thanksgiving. I know it was a ridiculous promise. I'd hate to have to hold him to something so absurd after he caused prices to rise so quickly. But it was his promise. So, will he reverse the food price inflation he caused by Monday so that Canadians can have an affordable turkey dinner? Yes or no?
I love Pierre.
Amazing. Amazing.
He's like, yeah, I know this promise is stupid, but I didn't make it.
Hold his feet to the fire. Let's go.
I'm the leader of the official opposition, so I have to hold him accountable to his promise. And it's absolutely stupid. And it was just to try to halt the downward progress in the polls. That's all this was meant to do. And he looks like a moron, even more so than he already is.
Is that even possible?
Apparently so.
Mr. Speaker, times are difficult for Canadians right across the country, as they are difficult for people around the world. The war in Ukraine, the global inflation crisis, the after effects of the pandemic have all caused real challenges. And that's why, as a government, we've been there to support people, whether it's with the grocery support, whether it's now with the Affordable Housing and Competition in Groceries Act. Now, the problem is, Mr. Speaker, is the Conservatives chose to obstruct debate on that act, to delay it. And we call on them to help us move forward on this to make sure that Thanksgiving and future Thanksgivings are more affordable for Canadians.
So, all of that was BS. And most of all, this grocery rebate. So we asked for you to give us your voice so we could get a sense of how many of our viewers actually received this rebate. So, Fox, let's hear the numbers.
Alrighty, so I created this poll at about, I think it was 8:30 this morning, which is October the 4th. That was about 14 hours ago at the time of us recording this. We've received 2.1 thousand votes, and only 5% of those votes said, yes, I received a grocery rebate.
So a grocery rebate that was allegedly designed to give, what was it, something like 11 million Canadians a rebate for help. So out of those 2,100, 95% of you did not receive a rebate. So of the 25% that were supposed to, only 5% did.
And for our poll, that's only about 105 people / families who responded that received a grocery rebate.
Now, this is the same sample size as they do for the federal polling. Now, it's not completely reliable because, we don't exactly know if there's pools of people from an existing or a certain demographic, a certain age group. But considering our viewers are from across the country, and it's pretty safe to assume they're across all demographics, I'm pretty confident in these numbers. So the question is, Trudeau, what the hell did you do with the rest of that money that you allegedly gave away?
After 8 years of excuses and inflationary debt and taxes, food prices and mortgage prices are raging out of control. In fact, mortgage payments are up 150%. When the government borrows money, competes with Canadians for their mortgage rates, it drives up the cost of lending. So will the Prime Minister tell Canadians how much How much will his government borrow this year? How much?
So, just wanted to quickly remind everybody what Pierre's talking about there. So, he was very accurate in saying that the government is competing with other Canadians in when they borrow. Remember, when you ask the bank for money for a house or for a loan, the bank doesn't take money out of their vault and give it to you. They go to the Bank of Canada. The Bank of Canada creates brand new money out of thin air, and then the bank that you deal with takes that money and gives it to you. And then you pay the bank in question that you're borrowing from the interest. Okay? The Government of Canada just skips a step. They don't deal with RBC or CBC or BMO or any of those. They go directly to the Bank of Canada and ask them to print money. So, either way, it has an effect on interest rates. That's what Pierre's talking about.
Le très honorable Premier Ministre.
Mr. Speaker, on the one hand, Conservatives continue to call for cuts to spending and cuts to supports for Canadians, but at the same time, they say there's not enough access to housing. And they put forward a plan, a private member's bill, to tackle the problem of housing affordability. The problem is it won't build homes fast enough, it doesn't reach enough cities, and it creates unnecessary bureaucracy, Mr. Speaker, while cutting the Accelerator Fund and ripping up our agreements to build more homes with cities like London and others across the country. On this side, we're actually linking public transit dollars to housing density, working with cities to ensure their housing proposals are ambitious, and addressing the bureaucracies to slow.
So if you guys are wondering why you couldn't hear Trudeau's last few words, it's because they cut their speakers at the end of their time. That's it. You don't get to say any more. You're done.
Yeah, notice that Pierre never gets cut off because he's very, very judicious with his time.
I don't know about you, Cypher, but I think some of those things that Trudeau was reading off sounds like they were conservative plans that he kind of co-opted for himself.
Oh, he did. He did. The whole building around transit and he perverted the conservative plan for funding given to municipalities if they build houses. The conservative plan is you don't need any more money from us. You have enough money. Get stuff built if you want infrastructure money from the government, and if you build more, then we will give you more. Trudeau's sitting there saying, well, you know, this isn't going to get stuff built fast enough. You know, us taking the GST rebate off of every single apartment building for developers, that's going to get things built. Yeah. So who do you think those developers are going to prioritize in their projects? Do you think they're going to prioritize affordable housing with the lowest possible rent and the lowest value buildings? Or are they going to prioritize the big high-rise buildings that are the most expensive, where they're going to make the most money? Gee, I wonder. They're going to go after the high-rise buildings where the GST rebate is going to have the highest amount of impact on them. That's what they're going to do. So the priority is going to be for rich people, not the people that need it. And plus, people don't want to rent. They want to own a home.
Yeah, this plan has absolutely no benefit for the middle class. The middle class that is disappearing thanks to Trudeau.
Zero.
L'honorable chef de l'opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the question was how much? You see, when the government borrows billions of dollars out of the economy, it bids up interest rates. Those interest rates have already ballooned faster under this Prime Minister than under any other in monetary history. So once again, how much? How much? And how much will this government borrow from the economy this year? Just the number, please.
Le très honorable Premier Ministre.
Mr. Speaker, while the Leader of the Opposition continues to talk down Canadians and talk down the Canadian economy, we're going to continue to put Canada's strong fiscal position in service of Canadians. Yes, Mr. Speaker, our strong fiscal position. We have the lowest deficit in the G7. We have the best debt to GDP ratio in the G7. And we're one of the 3 largest countries in the world with a AAA credit rating from the bond agencies. Mr. Speaker, we have been there for Canadians, and we have been responsible stewards of the public purse.
There's a saying from Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones.
I am the king. I will punish you Any man who must say, I am the king, is no true king.
Trudeau saying, we have been responsible stewards, means you're not a responsible steward.
The only ones that Pierre's criticizing is you, Justin, and your clown caucus, who have completely destroyed this country.
Notice how Justin is not getting many claps from his caucus. At all. Pierre's getting a lot. Justin is not getting many. And it's because Justin is not making any good points. And he's getting destroyed again by Pierre. I thought at one point he may have practiced his public speaking over the summer to avoid all of the nervous tics that he has. But it just goes to show that when he's up against Pierre, he turns into a little boy. He's scared of him, man.
The bond agencies he brags about are the same ones who were charged because they falsely claimed the subprime crisis would never happen in the United States of America. Canadian households, after 8 years of this Prime Minister, are more indebted than any other country in the entire G7. And interest rates have gone up faster than at any time in monetary history after 8 years of this Prime Minister. All of this is driven by his massive addiction to borrowing. So the average barber or waitress knows how much they borrow. Does the Prime Minister, who's the head of a $500 billion government, even know how much he's borrowing out of the country this year?
These are strategic questions.
Yeah, these questions are for us. They're not for Justin. They're for us.
Notice how he's relating it back to the regular Canadian doing their job, speaking directly into the camera. Your leader, Canadians, does not care about your money, does not care about the money that you are taxed for, doesn't even know how much he is borrowing. These are so strategic, and Pierre is just like a surgeon here.
Mr. Speaker, we see once again the Leader of the Opposition's tried and true tactics of attacking the facts when they don't suit his purposes. Mr. Speaker, the international bond rating agencies like Moody's and S&P that have ranked the top economies as AAA economies, the United States, Germany, and then Canada in the world's largest economies, have said that our fiscal plan is sustainable. As we are there to support Canadians, as we demonstrate fiscal prudence, as we support Canadians through this difficult time. Now, he can wage war on experts and the facts and demonize them all he likes, but we will keep being there for Canadians grounded in the facts.
Fiscal prudence? Is he for real?
He is. And that shows to everybody that the Liberals are lying through their teeth when they say, we don't pay attention to polls. You absolutely do. Because the polls are saying that Canadians care about affordability, cost of living, and fiscal responsibility at the government. That's the only reason he's saying this.
Yeah, and instead of actually, doing something fiscally responsible, he's just lying about it to you.
Right. And that's the problem, because Pierre is throwing all of this stuff at him, and he can't answer it. Because the answers are very bad. They are terrible answers. That's why he's not answering them. So the only way he's responding to them is saying, we're really good with money.
Even tell us the facts.
That's right.
Because he doesn't even know the facts. Exactly. This is a man who is going to borrow $421 billion this year. If the government bought 421 billion apples, the price of apples would go up. When they borrow $421 billion, the price of debt goes up in higher interest rates. That's why Canadians are paying 150% more on their mortgages. How much will this government force Canadians to spend on national debt interest this year?
Hear, hear.
Normally that would be a mic drop. But then Pierre just went in to the next phase of embarrassing Trudeau. Fine, you don't know that? I'll tell everybody. Now, how much are we paying in interest, Trudeau?
Le très honorable Premier Ministre.
I know Canadians won't be taking any condescending economics lessons from the Leader of the Opposition. After he proposed to Canadians that a good way of avoiding inflation was to buy crypto, Mr. Speaker. That That was his economic counsel to Canadians. And if they had followed it, they would have lost almost half of their life savings. Mr. Speaker, you can understand we won't be taking any economics lessons from that guy.
Oh, Justin.
Oh my God, this again? Again, how many times do I have to say it on this channel? Because these liberals keep bringing it up. He did not tell Canadians to invest in crypto. What he said was that Canadians should be allowed to invest in alternate payment methods like Bitcoin if they want to.
And that's it. But, Justin, you poked the bear. You started this. You started this.
Mr. Speaker, that Prime Minister should be taking economics lessons from everyone. Everyone. This is a guy who said budgets balance themselves right before he doubled the debt. This is a guy who said he doesn't think about monetary policy right before he led interest rates to rise faster than at any time in Canadian history.
He's already dead.
This is a guy who, up until I told him, didn't even know how much he was borrowing out of the Canadian economy. This is a guy who's doubled the rent, doubled mortgage payments, and doubled the needed down payment. Mr. Speaker, it's about time he took some lessons. Why doesn't he go to the library and do a little bit of studying?
Somebody call an ambulance.
Wow, that was incredible.
Somebody call an ambulance.
More like a wambulance.
Don't poke the bear.